about it. He asked me and he wasn't sure if I'd answer, and I had no problem answering. But I've talked to my neighbors, so I have 2 neighbors on each side and then 1 behind me. And I'm different than other chicken owners. I can only speak on mine. And yeah, there is no smell. I mean, Councillor Howell, he's been to my house. Councillor Kirby's been to my house. Your worship, you've been to my house. They don't smell. Mine don't. But it's not like every other person. So I'm not sure how other people take care of their hens or their backyard chickens. So on the amount, I'm not sure about that in regards to upping it. But I know, like, if I had a family, so if I had kids at home, yeah, 4 chickens would not feed us, and obviously I'd be buying from the grocery store. But with myself, I can usually supply myself, plus usually give a few away here and there when I can. So it's different if you have a family. I know a couple of families that have a hard time with 4 hens. So.
Okay, Councillor Majinski.
My concern is, like, if you're to up the number to 10 hens and the 1 meter squared per hen, is it going to be taking up that much more yard space? And is that going to be in conflict with some of our bylaws in size of garages? You know, because some of our maximum garage sizes are based on your square footage of your lot size. So that's the only concern I would have there.
Councillor Howell.
I'd just like to hear from staff if they've had any complaints or issues or bylaw infractions or anything they've had to deal with in the last 3 years.
As far as chickens?
Yeah.
Ms. Torval.
Not that I'm aware of, but I'll just confirm with Chief Curry if he can provide.
Your worship, I can't think of anything off the top of my head for disturbances or anything like that with predators. I can say that actually recently we've been contacted by the Conservation Officer Services at Shetland, and they were interested to see what we had in place, because historically there has been a correlation between backyard hen keeping and predators as an attractant.
Thank you, Chief. Councillor Nobry.
No.
Okay. Councillor Kirby.
Thank you, Mayor Bertrand. I just want to let council know that a neighbor close to me, they stopped with the hens because of a bear. So it does happen. And, you know, I don't know what the right number of hens are. I would imagine that there's probably not too many hen keepers that only have 4. So I'm not sure what the right number would be. I don't know if 10, I think that's a big jump. If we took us a long time just to get to 4. Like, I don't know if I would be voting it for 10.
Councillor Nobry.
2? I don't know.
Maybe 10 is too much, but you know, yourself, you say, Councillor Kirby, that people probably have more than 4, and if we don't have any complaints yet, well then I think that shows that 4 is too little. So maybe we should just, you know, where do we go from here?
By way of a motion. Councillor Nobry.
I'll make a motion that we increase the maximum number of hens from 4 to, let's say, 8.
Okay. Seconder. Councillor Majinski. Any more comments? Councillor Kirby.
Thank you, Mayor Bertrand. I think if we don't have any of the hen owners coming in and asking for this bylaw to be changed, then why would we go and change it? I think it's up to the people that have them to come in and ask for that, so I'll be voting against it.
Any other comments? Councillor Nobry.
The only concern is that they may only be coming in after somebody makes a complaint about their, you know, they might just dislike them and say, oh, they have a coop, I know they have more than 4. Oh, we should have had this changed to begin with. But I think it's a proactive approach to make sure that people don't get unjustly fined.
Councillor Howell.
Yeah, I know of 3, and all the 3 that I've talked to have wanted more. One also wanted a rooster, and I was like, yeah, I don't think that's ever going to happen. But I have heard from 3 that, you know, they don't necessarily have to come down and say that they want to get more. Again, I think it's one of those things that you try it. If it works, great. If it's a bad decision, you repeal it. Just like we did with the animal control. We tried it for a few years. It seemed to work okay for a while. And now it's gone sideways on us with this COVID thing, so we need to change that. So I think that this going to 8, give it a shot. If it's a bad deal, we can change it again.
Okay. Any other comments? Okay, call to question. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. One other thing that came to light with one of the recent incidences was the immunization records of these dogs. It was very difficult to get a hold of. And in the time frame from receiving a puncture wound to trying to find out if they need to get a rabies vaccination, which is an extreme vaccination, it was very difficult to find those immunization records. So I'd like to make a motion that we require all dog owners to provide their immunization records with their licenses, so that we have a record within the district that if we do have an incident in the district, that information is readily available, so that there isn't cause for concern or whether or not they need that or not. Seconder? Councillor Kirkowka, discussion. Councillor Howe.
Seems pretty onerous to me that we're gonna ask the residents to provide that with their dogs. Now they've gotta go back to their veterinarian and get that information. The veterinarian's gonna provide them with hopefully they do it for free, but not if 400 people from Tumbler Ridge call looking for their immunization records. Could it not be that after an attack happens that they could provide the immunization records? They have a certain amount of time to do that.
Well, and that was the case in this situation, and it was very difficult to get those records.
And how do we get the immunization records from a dog that we don't know who it was? Or the dog attacks somebody, takes off, or it's a coyote or a bat, or who knows what it is. To me, I don't know how we're gonna, and it's a lot of staff time and extra costs. They gotta store that information in a file network.
With the license, yeah.
Yeah, to me, and if it happens on a Saturday, can they get access to the place to get that information? It could be a bit onerous, but it should be on the owner to provide that information if they haven't had that done. They gotta call the vet out on Saturday because their dog bit, they gotta call the vet out.
Well, I agree, it should be on the owner, and the time frame, the time lapse for trying to get the owner to produce those records, which then the owner has to go to the vet, and who knows, that time lapse could be could be shortened significantly by us just asking for those records. It's an email to the vet emails the paperwork. It's pretty straightforward, I believe. Councillor Kirby.
Thank you, Mayor Bertrand. What if the situation is the pet owner doesn't believe in shots and they don't give their dog shots? I'm sorry, my dog hasn't had any shots. Is that gonna be an okay answer? And if not, then why are we asking in the first place?
Yeah, that's a possibility, I suppose. Councillor Norbury.
Councillor Kirby makes a good point. I think, in my opinion, it's either you provide proof of either you have it or you haven't, and that's sufficient. My question, I guess, is to some dog owners. When you immunize your animals, do you receive copies of those immunizations like you do with kids? Like, is it regularly just given to you and you have it, or is it an additional ask that you have to contact your veterinarian? So that's my only thought.
I believe it's an additional ask. I don't think we have a printout. Councillor
So
Howe.
I get, when I did mine, I get on my invoice or my bill or whatever, they've got a little tag on it that says, and it's like a sticker they put on there. They take it off the vaccine and put the sticker on it. That's the veterinarian that I go to, that's what they do, and then it's signed off by him and the date that the dog was done. So I honestly don't know if my dog's been done for rabies or not. She's had other vaccines, but
As far as I understand, the immunization does include rabies.
I'm not sure.
Any other comments? Call to Councillor Norbury.
One last question. What is the standard for this? Like, is there a law saying that we have to? Is any other municipality requiring it?
Not that I'm aware of. Chief, are you aware of Ms. Torval?
Not to my knowledge. I haven't heard of any other municipality requiring this. There may be a clause in there that you need to provide it in the case of, but there's nothing that sets the standard to say that you have to, or it doesn't compel you to produce the information. You'd have to actually go through it. In cases where somebody said, no, I'm not gonna give you that, we would have to go through an injunction, and at that point, as your worship mentioned, the time frame is quite long. In those instances, they just treat for a lack thereof. They would just treat as if you did have, or if the animal did have rabies. Further to your point, your worship, not all immunizations take rabies. It's a separate dose
Okay.
That's afterwards. Quite often they're done in tandem, but in older animals, I speak for my 6-year-old chocolate lab, he gets his rabies done every 2 years as a booster for it, but he doesn't get immunized for other things on a regular basis.
Thank you, Chief. Councillor Lehman.
Yeah, I was just going to say, if there is a dog attack and they need proof that the dog does have rabies shots, that dog owner's just gonna have to get a hold of their vet and provide it. I think
That's what takes place.
that's a given.
That's what takes place now, yeah. But that time lapse is very concerning to the victim for sure. To any victim.
But even
Go ahead, Councillor.
even on Sunday, you can call the vet and they'll get it for you. And it's going to cost the owner, that's all, if he doesn't have proof.
Okay, any other comments? Call the question on the motion, all in favor? Opposed? Defeated, thank you. Any other amendments to the animal responsibility bylaw? Councillor Kirkhope.
So not amendment, but I know we're sending it back to staff, and maybe when we send it back to staff, we can add something in there, I mean, and maybe we don't want to as a council, and that's fine, but cats. So I've been approached today by a few people, store, before coming here, as they knew this was on our agenda, and one of them was brought up by a few of them, was cats. Oh, we don't have anything about having cats, so they're tethered on a leash, they get their own free, and that, I mean, to me, don't get me wrong, that's what a cat does, I understand that. But I also understand these people that are bringing it forward, they're having issues at their residence, with cats digging in their flower beds and all that. Most people in the community of Tumbler Ridge just open the door and let their cat wander. Not all. There's like others that have on fellers. There's a lady back there has the greatest outdoor cat house you've ever seen if you drive by it. I mean, it's huge, but maybe there should be something added in there about cats.
Yeah, I agree. That was another item I wanted to mention. Animal responsibility bylaw, I believe, should capture something about cats. We don't have anything in here specifically about cats, so yes, I would like to make a motion for staff to bring back possible amendments to the animal responsibility bylaw, including some guidelines around cats. Seconder, Councillor Kakalka. Comments, Councillor Norbert?
I think in this case, we would have a lot more people that are affected negatively than positively. Like, yeah, there may be some cats getting out, digging up gardens. How many people in town do you think own an outside cat? Tons. And now if we're gonna say to every single person who has an outside cat, we're gonna have to fine you, I think that is something we should be not actively targeting. I think maybe feral cats, absolutely. Maybe cats without collars, but so that you can maybe identify who they are and who's causing issues. But I think in just a general term of an outside cat, I don't think we should be.
At this point, we're not even licensing cats, so we have no idea what cat is whose. So there's absolutely nothing in this bylaw in regards to cats. So I think some recommendations should come forward. Councillor Kirkhope.
Yeah, that was just actually just kind of meant some of the stuff you did your worship as well, but it's looking for some stuff, some information coming back. Maybe we don't have to go with it. Get some feedback, and maybe it's not a bad thing for dog tags, cat tags or something. Like maybe not, but let's have a look at it. Doesn't mean it's in our bylaw. It's going to be something that brought back for staff for us to look at.
Any other comments, Councillor Howard?
Yeah, and I have way more problems with cats at my house than I do dogs. We have them in our gardens, and there's lots of problems with that. Living in my boat shed, all the time, and I don't know what they are, feral cats or what they are, but I've got issues with them. So I've always wanted something to be done with cats in Tumbler Ridge. So let's see what the bylaw can come up with.
Appreciate that. Call the question, all in favor? Opposed? Carried, thank you. Okay, motion to extend the meeting past 3 hours. Second, Councillor Kakalka. I do appreciate the discussion tonight. It was very well warranted, and I do apologize if it's gone long. I do believe there's some important topics left to discuss here. So, all in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. 5.2. Sorry, any other comments or motions for the animal responsibility bylaw? Okay. Moving on, 5.2, parks discussion. Motion to discuss the parks, specifically the skate parks. Councillor Howe?
Yeah, so I just, with the.
Sorry, just seconder on the motion, Councillor Majinski, all in favor? Carried, thank you. Councillor Howe?
So with the loosening of the restrictions in British Columbia, I'm just curious to what the DTR's plan is for our parks in Tumbler Ridge. Why I talk specifically the skate park, I think the skate park is significantly different than the playgrounds, and I think we should open it immediately. I don't think that the skate park is an area where kids have a lot of opportunity to get within each other's personal space. If you're riding a bike, you got to stay so far away from another kid, you're going to crash into each other, or a skateboard or a scooter or whatever. And they're not really touching anything at the skate park besides their own gear, right? They're not handling monkey bars or swing sets or anything where there can be a pass on of COVID-19. And it's up to the parents to have some responsibility here too. We can't protect everybody in the community all the time. So if the parents have concerns about kids that are going up there that aren't being supervised, I mean, that stuff has to come to light, but I think it can be done. And I think it's time to reopen the skate park immediately. As for the other parks in town, I'd like to hear what staff have to say about them.
Okay, Ms. Torval, can you update us on any plans in regards to the skate park or the playgrounds?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. As Councillor Howe has alluded to, the province is looking at loosening some of their restrictions. I guess we'll know more after the 14th of this month about what that's going to look like. The parks and the skate park were closed because of the COVID-19, of course, and because of the probability of transmission of the virus. And we were wanting to, the decision was made to close the parks so that we could, slow the transmission of the virus, and whatever we could do to keep our community safe and our children as well safe. The skate park was included in that, and I'm aware that there isn't a lot of touching per se in when you're in the skate park, but there is the congregation around the skate park that we felt was would be not good for preventing the spread of the virus.
And in complying with the social distancing, yeah.
Yes.
So is there any plans in the near future? I guess you said we're waiting on the 14th.
Yes.
Also asked for guidelines from the province, from the community, for community centers as well. Okay, did that answer your question,
So on the
Councillor Howe?
14th, we're going to open all parks in the District of Tumbler Ridge?
So, Ms. Torval, can you?
We're going to look at the situation and see what that entails, what the province is going to be saying, what we're allowed to do, and what could be advisable with regard to social distancing and how much we can, increase that bubble, that social space that they talk about. Yeah. So I don't know if Chief Curry has anything to add to that.
Maybe just a bit of a follow-up. So the initial closure of the parks was done by municipal direction. It wasn't done by the province. We did that out of concern for the inability to maintain physical distancing. When we started looking at the closure, we started looking at other municipalities, both in the Peace region, to see what they were doing, especially those that had skate parks. And it wasn't just the Peace region, we started looking around the other ones. There's a skate park in Grand Prairie, for example. So when we started looking at this, it was either an all or nothing. Nobody did just the parks or just the skate park in terms of thing. Because the temptation, if you have people at the parks, then the temptation just changes and now they go to a skate park. Previous to that, I've myself witnessed a group of teens down at the skate park that were not following the physical distancing requirements at that point. Now, it was talked about that, that could be for any fault of anything else, but by the district not doing everything it can to prevent the transmission, even the temptation to congregate would be a disservice to it. So in answer to the question about opening on the 14th, we're waiting for guidance from the province, both from the higher levels as well as the BC Parks and Recs Association, who is working on guidelines for outdoor recreation, as well as they're gonna be the ones that are gonna give us the guidelines for the indoor recreation. So we'll wait and see. I do feel that I've had people ask me the same questions about, why can't we use the parks? Why can't we use the skate park? Believe me, I've got 3 kids of my own. They want to do the same thing, right? And you have to look at the greater good for the interim, and hopefully the province starts to relax after the 14th when we get into stage 2 of the economic restart plan, and we get further direction at that point.
Thank you, Chief. Councillor Norbury, then Majinski.
Thank you, and thank you, Chief, for that explanation. Because honestly, I was more familiar with the skate park as that it's different from a regular park because there's nothing for your kids to touch on the park. Right? Like my issue with parks is that the virus lives on a piece of metal or plastic for up to 3 days. Now you don't know who's come before or who will come after, and I think it is too big of a risk. As much as we want it, I think there's a danger there. But when we're talking specifically about the skate park, I can wager a guess on who those kids are down there, and I've seen them in the community already, and I've seen kids riding their bikes and their scooters, and they are congregating to themselves. Now, what if we open up the skate park, and they're not practicing social distancing, and more kids are being drawn in, and now we're creating a fake sense of, oh, well, they're doing it, it's okay, and it's going to encourage that more and more. So that is my concern, and I think that maybe at this stage in time, we are prudent in sacrificing for the greater good to make sure these things are closed to protect our community.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Majinski.
Yeah, and I was just thinking, as long as staff is closely following the BC Restart Plan and their phased approach on this, and just go what they recommend, and I read it and it says they're going to start May 14th, and then they talked about public spaces, so public benches and parks and stuff like that, and I believe the skate parks and other activities, like even our bike park, which is not closed right now, don't know why, but nobody uses it, I guess. As long as we see when they come up with these, then we can enact on it. I don't think we should maybe jump the gun too soon on that. It'd be nice because we do have limited accessibility for kids to do outdoor things right here, except for walking and stuff like that. So, but I think if we just follow what their guidelines are, can continue that.
Okay, Councillor Kalka, then Hal.
Yeah, thank you. So I'm just curious if staff's reached back out to communities into peace and have some discussion with them in the last little while, and what they're looking at doing as well. And that's in regards to the playgrounds. To me, it does create the open playgrounds next week. I think we should be on, have that communication with maybe whether it's CAOs to CAOs and have that information emailed to council. I'd hate to see us open up playgrounds in Tumbler Ridge and nobody else does in the piece. Might be a reason why we should have that communication tool, I think. Or, Chetwood opens up and Dawes Creek, but we didn't. Yeah, I just think, I believe we were on a conference call with Minister Robson, and that's kind of what was said on that call. You were on that call through the PRD about trying to do it all as one. So it's, someone's gonna open up, they all, don't get me wrong, I know we're different than Dawes Creek, we're a little bit larger and stuff, but I think it should be something that's looked at.
Councillor Hal.
Well, why I say it is it was a municipal choice. It was not a provincial choice. And for us to say, wow, let's wait to see what John Horgan's saying down in Vancouver and we'll decide what we're going to do. Yeah, that's not for me. And I think Tumbler Ridge is a different place all on its own. And I think that as a municipal choice, I can now go fishing, which I wasn't allowed to go fishing a week ago. We're allowed to go golfing as adults. These are adult activities that we're being allowed to do. We're allowed to have more people come to our homes. And this is something specific for the kids in our community. It's not everything, but it's something. And it's just, to me, I'd like to put a motion on the floor that we open our skate park effective tomorrow.
Seconder, Councillor Majinski. Any more discussion? I've got Councillor Kalka.
Yeah, so I guess the motion's on the floor, but I'm just gonna mention, like, everybody's talking about touch points and less touch points, and Councillor Howell mentioned how they bring their own gear and stuff. It's not just the touching either, right? It's sneezing and coughing, that's the transmission. And it's the social distance, and I get you say the parents, but to me, when it's not the parents, then are we expecting At one point, they were asking BYLAW to go around and help educate. We were just earlier complaining about animal control and trying to focus on that more. So I think we got to be realistic on that point too.
Councillor Kirby?
Thank you, Mayor Bertrand. I'd like to see the skate park opened, but I would expect it to be controlled to some extent. That just like you have to, you can, if you have a parent and you're and willing to go down there as a family, that you can phone in and book a time that you get in slots. It would, that a family could go down and use it, or, you know, keep, it would have to be so many at a time. Like, I don't think you can just have a, it's open. It has to have the distancing aspect. If parents are willing to go down there with their children and take control of the situation, because I think for mental health, the kids are, they need something to do. But I don't think it can just be opened. We'd have to figure out a way to do it controlled and where social distancing is being enforced.
Thank you. Councillor Lehman?
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to see the skate park open too, but the only problem I see is that's gonna be opening, and then the next thing is gonna be how come the playgrounds aren't open, and the ones that aren't using skateboards or bikes, where do they go? They can't go to their playgrounds, but these guys can go here. It's kind of a, you know, kids aren't gonna understand that, like, they're allowed to go, but I'm not. And that's kind of a, it's a little bit touchy, and that's why, you know, maybe what Chetwynd does, or Dawson, or what these guys are doing, maybe they figured it out, but for sure, it's gonna have to, if we do decide to open it, it's gonna have to be monitored so that, you know, the kids are aware.
Okay, I got Councillor Norbury, then Hal.
Thank you. Councillor Kirby, I think you make a great comment about how we could potentially get it there, but are we ready to do that immediately? I don't think we are ready to do that immediately. Beyond that, I think Councillor Kauka, I think your experience in this sort of things in terms of you know, your ambulance stuff, I believe what you're trying to say. Like, the transmission is droplets. Those droplets get on the cement, potentially get there for multiple days. Some kid makes a wipeout, normal. All of a sudden, now they come into contact. I think it's premature, and we need to be looking. I agree. I think we need to be looking at what the rest of our communities are doing and have a phased approach. The BC government has gone to the extent to look at what we can have in our homes. I think this is something that they're planning as well. I think we just need to give them some time. We need to follow their guidelines. We all follow them at the same time, and we won't have any issues.
I agree. Councillor Hal?
Yeah, so we can talk about looking at other communities. Well, at some point, somebody has to lead. Either it's Dawson Creek, Port St. John, or us. Somebody has to take this first step forward and say, yeah, Tumbler Ridge has got their skate park open. And to me, I think we've got a pretty good control. It's a wide open area down there. There's no reason why we can't leave social distancing signs up to say, you know, you still have to maintain your 2 meter distance. And you know, like Councillor Lehman makes a comment to say, well, you know, well, my kids don't use that park, so how's that fair to them? Well, you know, I can't play hockey anymore, but you can play golf. But I'm not coming down on you because you can go play golf, right? Like it doesn't matter to me. It's just to get more people out there, more people active, and to give them just something, just to say, like, here's something specific for children. So.
Councillor Majinski?
I just want to put something into perspective here. We had our meeting start at 5 o'clock. We all drove by front of Town Hall, and there was a bunch of kids on scooters on Town Hall property, which is a big risk because of seniors that come here, and they're touching those handrails coming up, and they're all around it. So wouldn't it be better to have those children in the skate park, not touching the handrails, not touching our doors, coughing on stuff, and because it's the seniors and the people that need to come here that are at the highest risk. And we've been here since 8 o'clock, and there's still kids out there riding on bikes. I just seen them. So they're all around this area. So keep them in where they should be, you know, in the skate parks where they want to be, having fun. And I think it'd be safer for them to be in where they should be, personally.
Okay. Good comments. Just my only concern is realistically, if we were to open that park, I think we would need to enforce how many kids are on that park at one time. And my question to all of council is, if we are to open that park, who's gonna enforce? Are we expecting parents to enforce that? And number one, look how well the littering enforcement goes with us doing, letting the parents do that. I don't think it's the right time, in my opinion. I'm gonna vote against this one. Any other comments, Councilor Majinski?
Well, we've opened the golf course and look how much signage and rules and restrictions have been put down on there. We can easily do the same thing at the skate park here and say, physical distance, you know, have that and have it enforced by bylaw. Principle.
Adding another thing to bylaw? That, okay.
No, that's gonna be a part of their job. They gotta go there anyways every day.
Okay, Councilor Korkalka, then
Yeah,
Hal.
Councilor Majinski just mentioned, so I was just wondering if we were gonna hire Jesus, who do we hire down at the golf course, sorry?
Marshall.
Marshall, if we're gonna hire a skateboard marshal. So if that's the case, then we should put some unbudgeted funds for Mr. Orville to, have staffing at the skateboard park, because I believe we had to do that for the golf course. And, you know, staff, gave a comment, Mr. Curry just did, and Mr. Orville did, in regards to what, some of the information they're waiting for, and I'm fine waiting till they get the information and get some of the information back, so.
Okay, Councilor Norbury. Sorry, Councilor Norbury, Councilor Hal, then Norbury.
Yeah, I don't know. Why do we have to enforce it? Where do we enforce people out in the parking lot when they're walking around, or where they're out in the sports field or whatever? We don't enforce that. We don't enforce people walking down the road with their friends that they're not allowed to be walking. We don't enforce any of that. This to me is a choice for your family. If you go down there and there's 5 or 6 kids that are too close, you can make the comment to say, we're gonna be over here, give us some room. If they choose not to do that, then leave. You know, or mention it to their parents, call somebody up. Like, to me, this is self-regulated, and I mean, we don't have to make a big deal of it. Like, if these kids are down there that don't want to do it, whatever, no big deal. Don't let them do it.
My biggest concern is not every family goes down with their kids to the skate park. A lot of families let their kids go to the skate park too, right? So for us to think or to expect that more than one parent is going to be at that skate park at any time to help enforce, I don't think we need to, my opinion, I don't think we should be putting the enforcement onto 1 or 2 parents that are watching their kids there. But Councilor Norbury?
Thank you. So if we're drawing a relation to the golf course, I don't think it's fair, because we're telling people they need to have tee times first. It's not just drop in and go plan a course. And we're talking about like how large is the golf course, right? There's reasonable ways that we can ensure social distancing. I don't think there is on the skate park. We can't, unless we have a skateboard marshal. We can't limit how many kids are down there or monitor it. I think we also need to, maybe I'm going a little extreme on this one, but if we say, no, our skateboard park is open, we're taking responsibility that we're saying that it's fine, and anything that happens on that park, we potentially can be liable. I hate it when people hide behind liability, because I think it's just a cop-out sometimes, but maybe in this case, there's a legitimate reason. Like, if we're saying, go ahead, open it up, go down there and play with your kids, some kids get sick, I honestly think that we're responsible for that.
Yeah, and I tend to agree with the chief. It's all or nothing. Realistically, if we're debating to open the skate park, we should be debating to open the community center too. Anyway, any more comments on the motion? Call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Defeated. Thank you. Any other discussion on parks? Okay. Going to skip question and answer period, move to resolution to close meeting. Recommendation that the meeting is closed to the public in accordance with the Community Charter Section 91C and as follows: labor relations or other employee relations. Seconder. Councilor Korkalka. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you.